Salahuddin Ayyubi was a legendary warrior with incredible qualities. As a soldier and a ruler, he fought hundreds of battles over 20 years, bravely defending against the Crusaders and ultimately pushing them back. Known for his courage, intelligence, and strong character, Salahuddin earned the respect of even his enemies. Let's delve into the history of the Crusaders. Who were they? How did they challenge the Muslims? And how did Salahuddin Ayyubi conquer them? The Crusaders were European knights and soldiers who traveled to the Holy Land in the Middle Ages. They wanted to take control of this area, which was important to Christians because it had sacred sites. These Crusaders challenged the Muslim rulers in the region. They fought in a series of wars known as the Crusades, starting in the late 11th century. Their goal was to capture and hold on to Jerusalem and other important cities. Around the 11th century, the Islamic world was divided and weakened, making it easier for the Crusaders to take control of the Eastern Mediterranean and establish their own territories. At this time, the Seljuks, a major Muslim power, were preoccupied with defending their eastern borders from the Afghan Ghaznavids, leaving their western defenses exposed. Additionally, Turkish tribes from the northeast were causing trouble, further complicating the situation. The Crusaders received strong support from local Orthodox and Armenian communities, and the Venetians provided transportation. Because of this support, the Crusaders made rapid progress. Tripoli surrendered in 1109, Beirut fell in 1110, Aleppo was besieged in 1111, and Tyre was taken in 1124. During this time, Muslim groups were so busy fighting each other that they didn't see the Crusaders as a serious threat. They thought the Christians were just another group trying to gain power in the region. During a time of great disorder, a powerful family from northern Mesopotamia called the Ayyubids started to gain influence. The founder of this family, Najm ad-Din Ayyub, was an excellent military leader. He was Kurdish and came from the Rawadiya tribe, which was part of the larger Hadbani tribe. Najm ad-Din Ayyub worked for the Seljuk rulers and was known for his leadership skills. He and his brother, Asad ad-Din Shirkuh, played key roles in their family's rise to power. Najm ad-Din Ayyub's wife, Sit Khatun, was from the Kurdish village of Ajdanakan and was known for her piety and strong character. Najm ad-Din Ayyub and Sit Khatun had 7 children: Turan Shah, Salahuddin, Shahanshah, Tugtakin, Al-Adil, Sit al-Sham, and Rabia Khatun. Out of them, Salahuddin was the chosen conqueror of Jerusalem. Salahuddin, also known as Salah ad-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub, was born in 1137 in Tikrit, which is in modern-day Iraq. After Salahuddin was born, his family moved to Mosul, where they were taken under the protection of Imad al-Din Zengi, a powerful Turkish leader in northern Syria. The Rawadiya tribe, known for their bravery and strategic skills, provided Salahuddin with a rich heritage of leadership and military knowledge. His father, Najm ad-Din Ayyub, and his uncle, Shirkuh, were his mentors, teaching him the ways of warfare and governance from a young age.
AI-powered documentaries take a lot of time, effort, and money to make, and that's why we need your help. By subscribing to our channel, liking the video, and sharing on, you can help us achieve our goal of creating AI documentaries of this quality. Every month, our next project won't be possible if we don't hit 500 subscribers, and for that reason, we need your support deeply. Please help us on this mission. Thank you.
The Ayyubid family had strong ties with the Seljuk rulers and later with Imad al-Din Zengi, which gave Salahuddin many opportunities to develop his skills in both diplomacy and combat. Then, in 1154 CE, Salahuddin started his career by joining his uncle, Asad al-Din Shirkuh, who was the ruler of Damascus and Aleppo. Asad al-Din Shirkuh was a key military leader, working under Emir Nur al-Din, who had taken over after the death of Zengi. Shirkuh led 3 military campaigns into Egypt to stop the region from falling into the hands of the Latin Christian rulers of Jerusalem. During these efforts, there was a complicated three-way struggle between Amalric IV, the king of Jerusalem, Shawwar, the powerful vizier, advisor to the Egyptian Fatimid Caliph, and Shirkuh. In 1163, Shawwar was ousted from power in Egypt by his rival Durgam. Shawwar then asked Nur ad-Din for help. In 1164, Nur ad-Din sent Shirkuh to support Shawwar. At that time, Salahuddin, who was just 26 years old, joined Shirkuh in this mission. After Shawwar was reinstated as a vizier, he wanted Shirkuh to leave Egypt and offered him a reward of 30,000 gold dinars. However, Shirkuh refused because his leader, Nur ad-Din, wanted him to stay. Salahuddin's role in this mission was minor. He was mainly responsible for gathering supplies from the town of Bilbais before it was surrounded by the combined forces of the Crusaders and Shawwar's troops. When the Crusader Egyptian army and Shirkuh's army clashed, they faced off in the Battle of Al-Babain, which was near the desert border of the Nile, west of Giza. Salahuddin played a significant part in this battle, leading the right flank of the Zengid army. A group of Kurds led the left side of the battle, while Shirkuh was in the center. Muslim sources from that time say Salahuddin was actually in the middle, pretending to retreat to trick the enemy into a trap. At first, the Crusader forces were doing well against Shirkuh's troops. However, the steep and sandy ground made it difficult for their horses. After some scattered fighting in the small valleys south of the main battlefield, the central Zengid force went back on the attack, with Salahuddin joining in from behind. The battle ended with a victory for the Zengids. However, after the battle, Salahuddin and Shirkuh went to Alexandria. They were welcomed there, given money, weapons, and a place to stay. But in a few moments, a strong Crusader Egyptian force tried to besiege the city. In response, Shirkuh divided his army. He took most of the soldiers and left Alexandria, while Salahuddin stayed to defend the city. In 1169, Salahuddin decided to have Shawwar killed because they were both fighting for control of Egypt. Shawwar was the vizier for the Fatimid Caliph, but his rule was chaotic and he kept switching alliances. Shawwar was involved with the Crusaders, who had attacked Egypt, and he would ally with whoever he thought would help him stay in power, whether it was the Crusaders or Nur al-Din. His constant shifting caused many problems for the Muslims in Egypt. Salahuddin wanted to unify the Muslim lands and bring stability. Shawwar's changing alliances and deals with the Crusaders were major obstacles to Salahuddin's plans. Salahuddin saw Shawwar as untrustworthy and dangerous, creating constant uncertainty and the risk of betrayal. Seeing an opportunity to remove this major obstacle, Salahuddin had Shawwar assassinated. This action was aimed at protecting the Muslim community from internal betrayal and external threats. Shawwar's alliances with non-Muslim forces against fellow Muslims were considered acts of treachery, making his removal important for the greater good. After Shawwar's death, people started looking for a new vizier, a high official to serve Al-Adid, the ruler. Many of these candidates were Kurds, and this Kurdish unity influenced the decisions of the Ayyubid family. Salahuddin and his close associates were wary of Turkish influence at the time. A Kurdish lieutenant named Isa al-Hakkari once advised another Kurdish candidate, Emir Qutb ad-Din al-Hadbani, to step aside. He said this was because both Qutb ad-Din and Salahuddin were Kurds, and they would work together to prevent power from falling into Turkish hands. Eventually, Nur ad-Din, a powerful figure, chose someone to replace Shirkuh, but Al-Adid decided to appoint Salahuddin as the new vizier. The choice of Salahuddin, a Sunni by the Shia Caliph Al-Adid, has different explanations. Historian Ibn al-Athir says that the Caliph picked Salahuddin because his advisors told him that Salahuddin was young and weak, and not many commanders respected him. However, after some negotiations, most commanders eventually agreed to accept Salahuddin. Some also believed that Al-Adid's advisors wanted to create a rift among the Zengids, a powerful Syrian group. Another historian, Al-Wahrani, wrote that Salahuddin was chosen because his family was known for their generosity and military skills. Imad ad-Din explained that after the brief mourning period for Shirkuh, Salahuddin's uncle, there was disagreement among the Zengid emirs. Eventually, they decided on Salahuddin and pressured the caliph to make him vizier. Despite the complex situation with rival Muslim leaders, most Syrian commanders supported Salahuddin because of his successful military record in Egypt. On March 26th, Salahuddin became the vizier, which was a key step in his plan to unite Muslim lands against the Crusaders and strengthen his leadership. His rapid rise to power was to both his family's support and his own skills. As the vizier of Egypt, he was given the title King, Malik, but he was usually called the Sultan by the age of 31. Even though Salahuddin gained more power than ever before, he faced a difficult choice whether to stay loyal to Al-Adid, the Fatimid Caliph, or Nur ad-Din, his former leader. Later that year, some Egyptian soldiers and leaders tried to kill Salahuddin, but thanks to his intelligence chief, Ali ibn Safyan, Salahuddin found out about the plot. He arrested and executed the main conspirator, Naji, who was in charge of the Fatimid palace. The next day, 50,000 soldiers from the Fatimid army, along with some Egyptian leaders and ordinary people, rose up against Salahuddin. But by August 23rd, Salahuddin had defeated the rebellion, and after that, he never faced another major military challenge from Cairo. As time went on, Salahuddin kept achieving victories. By late 1169, he teamed up with Nur ad-Din and managed to defeat a large army of Crusaders and Byzantines near the city of Damietta. In the spring of 1170, Nur ad-Din sent Salahuddin's father to Egypt because Salahuddin asked for it, and the Abbasid Caliph, al-Mustanjid, wanted to push Salahuddin to remove his rival caliph, al-Ad. During this time, Salahuddin was getting stronger in Egypt and building more support. He gave his family important positions and started building schools for Sunni Islam in the city. One was for the Maliki branch and another for the Shafi'i branch, which he belonged to in Al-Fustat. After Salahuddin became the ruler of Egypt, he began fighting against the Crusaders. In 1170, he tried to capture a place called Darum. The Crusader leader Amalric moved his Templar soldiers from Gaza to protect Darum. However, Salahuddin avoided them and took Gaza in 1187. Around the same time, Salahuddin also attacked and took over a Crusader castle in Eilat, which was on an island at the top of the Gulf of Aqaba. This castle wasn't a big threat to the main Muslim navy, but it could be a problem for smaller Muslim ships. So, Salahuddin decided to remove this obstacle to ensure safer passage for his ships. Then, in June 1171, Nur ad-Din asked Salahuddin to restore the Abbasid Caliphate in Egypt. Salahuddin agreed and did this 2 months later. Some Egyptian leaders were killed, and it was said they were killed for rebelling. The ruler of Egypt at the time, Al-Adid, fell very ill, possibly from poisoning. While he was sick, he asked Salahuddin to come and take care of his young children. Salahuddin was worried it might be a trap, so he didn't go. Later, Salahuddin felt bad about this decision. Al-Adid died on September 13th. On September 25th, Salahuddin left Cairo to join his ally, Nur ad-Din, in attacking the desert castles of Kerak and Montreal. These castles were part of the Kingdom of Jerusalem, but Salahuddin had to return to Cairo when he learned that Crusader leaders were giving more support to people plotting against him in Egypt. This included the Fatimids, who were trying to take back power. Nur ad-Din had to carry out the attack on the castles by himself. In the summer of 1173, a Nubian army, along with some Armenian soldiers who used to be part of the Fatimid troops, planned to attack Aswan. The leader of Aswan asked Salahuddin for help, so Salahuddin sent his brother, Turan Shah, with reinforcements. The Nubians left, but came back later that year and were pushed away again. During this time, Egyptian forces took control of the Nubian town of Ibrim.
AI-powered documentaries take a lot of time, effort, and money to make, and that's why we need your help. By subscribing to our channel, liking the video, and sharing on, you can help us achieve our goal of creating AI documentaries of this quality. Every month, our next project won't be possible if we don't hit 500 subscribers, and for that reason, we need your support deeply. Please help us on this mission. Thank you.
To show his appreciation to his friend and mentor, Nur ad-Din, Salahuddin sent him a special gift. This gift included money, valuable items, jewels, and even an elephant. While Salahuddin was transporting these gifts to Damascus, he took the opportunity to attack Crusader lands. However, he avoided attacking the desert castles and instead tried to drive out Muslim Bedouins living in Crusader-controlled areas. This was to make it harder for the Crusaders to find guides in the desert. On July 31st, 1173, something unexpected happened. Salahuddin's father, Ayyub, had an accident while riding a horse and got hurt. Sadly, he passed away on August 9th. Even though this was a great loss, Salahuddin didn't let it stop him. He kept moving forward with his plans. But another problem came up. By early summer of 1174, Salahuddin faced a new threat. Nur ad-Din was getting ready to invade Salahuddin's territory in Egypt. Nur ad-Din started gathering soldiers from nearby areas like Mosul, Diyarbakir, and Jazira to launch his attack. Nur ad-Din died after being sick for a week. His young son, As-Salih Ismail al-Malik, took over his power. Salahuddin saw this as an opportunity to act on his own. In a letter to As-Salih, he promised to fight hard against his enemies and said Nur ad-Din's death was a big shock. After Nur ad-Din died, Salahuddin had to make a tough decision. He could either move his army to fight the Crusaders from Egypt or wait until As-Salih asked for help from Syria and then fight from there. Another option was to take control of Syria himself before someone else did. But Salahuddin was worried that attacking a place that once belonged to his old master might make him look bad. He decided he needed either an invitation from As-Salih or to warn him that the Crusaders might cause trouble. When As-Salih was moved to Aleppo in August, Gumushtigin, the emir of the city, took charge of him. The emir of Damascus asked Saif ad-Din of Mosul, Gumushtigin's cousin, for help, but he refused. So, the people of Damascus turned to Salahuddin for help. Salahuddin then traveled across the desert with 700 horsemen, passing through Al-Kerak and reaching Bosra. Many supporters, including emirs, soldiers, and Bedouins, joined him. On November 23rd, Salahuddin arrived in Damascus to a warm welcome. He stayed in his father's old home until after a short period, the gates of the citadel of Damascus were opened to him. Salahuddin then took control of the castle and was honored by the people. But he didn't stop there. Leaving his brother, Tugtakin ibn Ayyub, in charge of Damascus, Salahuddin moved to capture other cities that had once been under Nur ad-Din, but were now almost independent. He easily conquered Hama, but chose not to attack Homs because its fortress was too strong. Salahuddin then headed towards Aleppo and began the siege on December 30th, after Gumushtigin refused to step down from his throne. As-Salih, worried about being captured, pleaded with the people not to surrender him and the city. According to one of Salahuddin's chroniclers, the people were deeply influenced by his appeal. Gumushtigin asked Rashid ad-Din Sinan, the leader of the assassins of Syria, to kill Salahuddin in his camp. On May 11th, 1175, 13 assassins managed to get into Salahuddin's camp, but were caught before they could carry out their plan. One was killed by Salahuddin's general, and the rest were killed while trying to escape. To slow Salahuddin down, Raymond of Tripoli gathered his forces by Nahar al-Kabir, ready to attack Muslim lands. Salahuddin then turned towards Homs, but retreated when he heard a relief force was on its way from Saif ad-Din. In the meantime, Salahuddin's rivals spread propaganda claiming he had betrayed his old master, Nur ad-Din, by attacking his son. To counter this, Salahuddin ended the siege and said he was defending Islam from the Crusaders. He returned to Hama and fought a Crusader force that had already withdrawn, calling it a victory that won people's hearts. Shortly after, Salahuddin captured Homs in March 1175. After a fierce fight, Salahuddin's success worried Saif ad-Din, the head of the Zengids, who felt Salahuddin was threatening his family's territory. Saif ad-Din assembled a large army and sent it to Aleppo. The combined forces of Mosul and Aleppo then marched against Salahuddin in Hama. Outnumbered, Salahuddin tried to negotiate by offering to give up all lands north of Damascus, but they demanded he return to Egypt. Preparing for battle, Salahuddin took a strong position at the Horns of Hama. On April 13, 1175, the Zengid troops attacked but were soon surrounded and defeated by Salahuddin's seasoned soldiers. Salahuddin pursued the fleeing Zengids to Aleppo's gates, forcing them to recognize his control over Damascus, Homs, Hama, and nearby towns. After his victory, Salahuddin declared himself king and had the name of As-Salih removed from Friday prayers and coins. He ordered prayers in Syria and Egypt in his name and issued gold coins with his title, the King Strong to Aid, Joseph son of Job. The Abbasid Caliph in Baghdad was happy with Salahuddin's new title, which was Sultan of Egypt and Syria. But there was still a lot of fighting for power between Salahuddin's family, the Ayyubids, and their rivals, the Zengids. This struggle went on until the spring of 1176. Salahuddin gathered reinforcements from Egypt, while Saif ad-Din recruited troops from smaller states. When Salahuddin crossed the Orontes River, an eclipse occurred, which he took as an omen. Despite this, he pressed on and encountered Saif ad-Din's forces near Aleppo. The battle was fierce, but Salahuddin's forces eventually overwhelmed the Zengids. Saif ad-Din narrowly escaped, and Salahuddin seized their camp and supplies, but treated the Zengid prisoners kindly. However, as one of the greatest warriors in history, Salahuddin continued his campaign toward Aleppo, who remained close to him. His army captured Buza'a and Manbij and began besieging the fortress of Azaz. While resting in a captain's tent, an assassin attacked him with a knife. The attack failed, as Salahuddin's armor protected him, and the assailant was killed. Azaz fell, and Salahuddin quickly moved to Aleppo to confront Gumushtigin. He managed to secure a truce and an alliance, allowing Gumushtigin and As-Salih to keep control of Aleppo, while recognizing Salahuddin's authority over his conquests. The emirs of Mardin and Kifa also acknowledged Salahuddin as the king of Syria. After the treaty, As-Salih's younger sister visited Salahuddin to request the return of Azaz, which he agreed to. Salahuddin had already made peace agreements with his rivals, including the Kingdom of Jerusalem, in the summer of 1175. However, he faced a new challenge from a secretive group called the Assassins, led by Rashid ad-Din Sinan. The Assassins were based in the An-Nusayriya Mountains, where they controlled 9 high fortified positions. In August 1176, Salahuddin sent most of his troops to Egypt and led an army into the An-Nusayriya Mountains. Despite his efforts to attack and destroy the area, he failed to capture any of the assassins' fortresses and retreated that same month. To protect himself from the assassins, Salahuddin took extra precautions while trying to capture the fortress of Masyaf. One night, his guards spotted a light on a nearby hill and noticed that some things in Salahuddin's tent had been shifted. They discovered some hot bread, something the assassins were known for, along with a threatening note attached to a poisoned dagger. The note warned Salahuddin to back off or face death. Salahuddin wanted to make a deal with Sinan and the assassins to stop them from helping the Crusaders. After making this deal, Salahuddin and Sinan joined forces against the Crusaders. The assassins even sent their own troops to help Salahuddin in important battles. After leaving the An-Nusayriya Mountains, Salahuddin returned to Damascus and sent his Syrian soldiers back home. He left his brother, Turan Shah, in charge of Syria, and went to Egypt with just his close followers, arriving in Cairo. He had been away for almost 2 years and needed to get Egypt in order. In Cairo, he focused on repairing and extending the city walls and began building the Cairo Citadel. He also ordered the construction of a deep well called Bir Yusuf, or Joseph's Well, and a large bridge at Giza to help defend against possible attacks from the Moors. Salahuddin stayed in Cairo to oversee these improvements, build new schools like the Madrasa of the Swordmakers, and manage the country. Then in 1186, Guy of Lusignan became the king of Jerusalem because his wife, Sibylla, took over after her son, Baldwin V, died. The kingdom was divided into two main groups. Guy's group included his wife Sibylla and other newcomers like Reynald of Chatillon, Gerard of Riedfort, and the Knights Templar. The other group was led by Raymond III of Tripoli, who didn't want Guy to rule. Raymond supported Sibylla's half-sister, Isabella, and her husband, Humphrey IV of Toron. To avoid a big fight, Humphrey promised to be loyal to Guy, which helped calm things down. At the same time, Salahuddin captured many important cities and controlled most of the borders of the Crusader states. His goal was to drive the Christian Franks out of Jerusalem. Salahuddin made peace agreements with the Crusaders when he needed to handle problems within his own Muslim territories. One such agreement was made in 1185. Rumors circulated that Raymond III had secretly agreed with Salahuddin to make him king of Jerusalem in exchange for peace. Although it's unclear if this is true, Raymond was known to be hesitant about fighting Salahuddin. Then, in 1187, Reynald of Chatillon broke the truce by attacking a Muslim pilgrimage caravan. Salahuddin was very angry with Reynald and vowed to kill him. He sent his army to attack the lands of the Franks. In May 1187, the Templars, a group of knights, were badly defeated at the Battle of Cresson. They lost many knights and soldiers, which made the Franks feel very low and sad. In July, Salahuddin attacked Tiberias, where Raymond III's wife was trapped. Raymond thought it was a bad idea to fight Salahuddin because he believed Salahuddin's soldiers would not stay away from their families for long. The Knights Hospitaller, another group of knights, also thought it was a bad idea to provoke Salahuddin. Even though Guy of Lusignan was warned, he decided to fight Salahuddin. Gerard de Riedfort encouraged him to make this risky choice. Guy might have felt pressured because of his troubled political situation and didn't want to waste the money he got from England to gather his army. He left only a few knights to protect Jerusalem and marched his army to meet Salahuddin. They faced each other at the Battle of Hattin on July 4th, 1187. This battle ended terribly for the Crusaders, turning into a complete disaster. Salahuddin's forces surrounded Guy's army, cutting them off from water sources in the hot desert. Thirst and heat weakened the Crusaders. Salahuddin's troops then attacked relentlessly. Many Crusader soldiers were killed or captured. After the battle, Salahuddin showed kindness to most of the prisoners, but he kept his promise and executed Reynald of Chatillon. With the Crusader army destroyed, Salahuddin then went on to capture Jerusalem. Salahuddin captured almost every Crusader city. He wanted to take Jerusalem peacefully and offered generous terms, but the people inside refused. They vowed to fight to the death rather than give up their holy city without a fight. On October 2nd, 1187, after a siege, Jerusalem finally surrendered. At first, Salahuddin didn't want to promise safety to the Christians in Jerusalem, but Balian of Ibelin, one of their leaders, threatened to kill Muslim hostages and destroy Islamic holy sites if Salahuddin didn't offer protection. After consulting with his advisors, Salahuddin agreed to the terms. The terms were announced throughout the city, giving everyone 40 days to pay a ransom for their freedom. The Patriarch of Jerusalem collected money to pay the ransoms for about 18,000 poor people, but 15,000 were still enslaved. Salahuddin's brother, Al-Adil, asked for 1,000 slaves, but then freed them immediately. Most of the captured soldiers were sold into slavery. After capturing Jerusalem, Salahuddin invited the Jews to return and settle in the city, and many from a large Jewish community in Ascalon accepted his invitation. Tyre, a major Crusader city in modern-day Lebanon, was the last to resist Muslim forces. Although it would have been strategically better to capture Tyre first, Salahuddin chose Jerusalem because of its religious significance. In 1188, Salahuddin released Guy of Lusignan, who wanted to take back Tyre. However, Conrad wouldn't let him in. After these victories, Salahuddin dreamed of invading Europe. He thought about dividing his territories, making a will, and then sailing to Europe to fight the Franks and spread his faith or die trying. But you don't know the fortune where it takes you. During the Third Crusade, which lasted from 1189 to 1192, a major conflict started with the Battle of Hattin and the fall of Jerusalem to Muslim forces. King Richard I of England decided to attack the city of Acre. He managed to capture Acre and then ordered the execution of nearly 3,000 Muslim prisoners. Then, on September 7th, 1191, Salahuddin's army fought against Richard the Lionheart's forces at the Battle of Arsuf. This was an important battle. Despite the failure to recapture Jerusalem, it resulted in a 3-year truce, known as the Treaty of Jaffa. In October 1191, Richard began repairing inland castles near Jaffa, preparing to advance towards Jerusalem. During this period, Richard and Salahuddin exchanged envoys to discuss a possible truce. The Treaty of Jaffa, signed in 1192, marked an important agreement between Richard the Lionheart and Salahuddin, establishing a truce between their forces. After returning to Damascus, Salahuddin, the revered Muslim leader, passed away on 4th March 1193, shortly after King Richard's departure. Even though Salahuddin accomplished so much, he died with just 1 gold coin and 40 silver coins. He gave away all his wealth to help the poor. Salahuddin didn't leave any money for his funeral, so he was buried in a tomb located in a garden near the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, Syria. Salahuddin's family continued his legacy, including notable sons. Salahuddin's daughter married her cousin, Al-Kamil Muhammad ibn Adil. Salahuddin had 17 sons and 1 daughter, Ismat ad-Din Khatun. Salahuddin's first wife was from the Kurdish region. Before marrying Salahuddin, she was married to Nur ad-Din Zengi. After Nur ad-Din's death in 1174, Salahuddin married Ismat ad-Din Khatun, likely to strengthen his ties with the Zengid dynasty. However, she did not bear any children with Salahuddin. After her death, Salahuddin married Shamsar, who was from the Turkish region. Shamsar was buried with her son Al-Aziz in the tomb of Al-Shafi'i. Salahuddin wasn't just a powerful warrior. He was also known for his kind heart. He fought bravely and treated his enemies with respect. When he recaptured Jerusalem, he showed both strength and mercy by sparing the lives of its people. Through his wisdom and leadership, Salahuddin united the Muslim world and became a symbol of hope and justice. His legacy as a fair and noble leader continues to inspire people from all backgrounds.
وما تأخر ويتم نعمته عليك ويهديك صراطا مستقيما وينصرك الله نصرا عزيزا هو الذي أنزل السكينة في قلوب المؤمنين ليزدادوا إيمانا مع إيمانهم ولله جنود السماوات والأرض وكان الله عليما حكيما ليدخل المؤمنين والمؤمنات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها ويكفر عنهم سيئاتهم وكان ذلك عند الله فوزا عظيما ويعذب المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات الظانين بالله ظن السوء عليهم دائرة السوء وغضب الله عليهم ولعنهم وأعد لهم جهنم وساءت مصيرا ولله جنود السماوات والأرض وكان الله عزيزا حكيما.
AI-powered documentaries take a lot of time, effort, and money to make, and that's why we need your help. By subscribing to our channel, liking the video, and sharing on, you can help us achieve our goal of creating AI documentaries of this quality. Every month, our next project won't be possible if we don't hit 500 subscribers, and for that reason, we need your support deeply. Please help us on this mission. Thank you.